So, welcome everyone. First time we got to use our intro. Kind of cool, I think. Robert,
Hello.
welcome. Long time no see. Long time no see. We've had a little bit of trouble with our guest joining. We're going to postpone that talk, so we will make it happen on a later date. So apologies for those people who have been waiting for that. We decided to have a chat amongst ourselves, and maybe if there are people in the side chat who want to join and have a chat with us, you can come and join us. Robert, we have a terrible echo.
We do, and I'm killing my laptop.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Great.
Okay, yeah. I just killed my laptop.
No problem.
I think my laptop was the problem.
Okay. So, how have you been doing?
I've been doing all right. How about you?
Oh, I'm always fine. Lost a few people on Twitter, but I'm still back.
Well, we're here and we can make this work.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we did invite a guest, but she's a little bit reluctant to come on, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like he was having some computer issues, which I can absolutely understand. And that's going to happen sometimes, but that's life.
Yeah. Well, I see another one in the live chat, by the way, who I think would be interesting. Apetivist is here. I don't know if he hears this. If you want to join Apetivist, I think would be cool to have you on. So yeah, it has been a long time since the both of us have done a show.
Yes.
I think that's something we need to address. We need to do a couple of more shows together because I really enjoyed the ones we were on so far.
I agree. I love it.
Yeah. For those people who don't know it, we met actually. I think wasn't on Stephanie's channel.
It was. We did a chat with Stephanie and Heather. And that was 90 minutes of interesting, I will say. And from there, you and I formed a good relationship, and I've enjoyed it ever since. And yeah, that we were talking off air about that very conversation. And, I had watched, I live in Austin, as I give my location away. I live in Austin, and I'm so used to listening to like the Atheist Experience here in Austin. And it was just very interesting as some of the arguments that I hear on like the Atheist Experience where I'm like, okay, this can't be real, being used on me and you. And sure enough, those arguments are very real. People actually accept those arguments as truth, as reality, and it just didn't fly with me. So it was a very interesting talk.
Yeah, and I've been still following her channel. Stuff hasn't gotten any better. I mean, it's still the same old arguments who have been debunked years ago.
Yeah, and it's the thing about those arguments, and I'm not picking on anyone because for those of you, for the few that are listening and don't know, boy, I was a hardcore Christian. I mean, Bible thumper, church all day on Sunday type of guy. So there's a part of me that still has sympathy and even empathy. I totally understand where people are coming from and the arguments that they use. And that being said, it's those exact same arguments that led me to being an atheist, because even though I was beating the Bible, even though I was, walking the walk and talking the talk, I still had questions, and I wanted those questions answered. And the best pretty much anyone could ever do for me was give me excuses, not explanations, and give me threats versus,
Yeah,
care. And it's like, you give that to someone who's 10 years old, you scare the shit out of them. You give it to someone who's in their 30s, we're going to call BS. And they eventually turn into an atheist like I am now.
yeah. I just I looked in the side chat. Apetivist would like to join. So
Oh, join on in.
think Apetivist, check your DMs.
I'm going to see if I can turn on my computer without the...
If you kill the sound, that
Okay.
should be fine.
Killing the sound.
Then you can at least watch the side chat.
Okay.
So if the people in the side chat are having questions for Robert, because Robert hasn't been on for a while, we only did one show together, which wasn't with the best of guests, I'd say. It was someone who had the ability to push our buttons
the street pastor.
in a terrible way.
Yep.
Hey.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, this is Apetivist.
Hello, Apetivist.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Yeah, I've had run-ins with that Matt guy on Facebook before under my real persona.
How do you know him?
It was always mind-boggling how far he could go down that rabbit hole. But nonetheless, I was the same way when I was a fundamentalist Christian.
You too, huh?
Oh my goodness, yes. For the first 23 years of my life.
Yeah.
I was hardcore, man. I was hard.
You too. Okay. Talk to me. How did it, while you were hardcore, because while I was hardcore,
I was a minister.
Holy crap. All right. I am, mister, you have my attention.
I was in the ministry. I even took theology and apologetic courses from Liberty University.
Liberty.
Yeah. You're talking about being a fundamentalist.
Liberty recruited me to play football for them.
Oh, did they?
They sure did. So while you did the fundamentalist thing, while you did the ministry thing, was there a part of you that just kind of just sat on your shoulder and like, hey, this is crap? Because while I was beating my Bible and while I was proselytizing, while I was challenging atheists and other Christians, there was always a part of me that was wondering, what the hell am I doing? Did you ever experience that?
Only until the last year or so, because before that time, now keep in mind, each one of us have different backgrounds, but as for me, I came from a fundamentalist Southern Baptist family and was raised to fear God. And I was pretty heavily indoctrinated. And it was, being from the South, it was in my culture and constantly being reiterated at every turn that so. quite frankly, it's just amazing I made my way out. It truly is.
I mean, you and I, minus I never made it to minister, clearly, but it really sounds like we kind of have a similar.
I was an associate pastor. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, you didn't have much of a choice, it sounded like, because for me, going to church on Sunday was about as much of a choice of taking a shower and brushing your teeth. It wasn't even a topic of a conversation. You did.
I had no choice. And it, fundamentally, I have a sister, and I come from a family of 6. And I have my oldest sister, who is the oldest child in our family. She became an atheist at the age of 12.
Yeah.
But she never shared it with me. And she never, because everybody knew she didn't want to go to church. And so they pretty much, let her do what she wanted to because she was rather strong-headed. But I was fearful. The fear of God was put in me from an early age. The old hellfire and brimstone. So it was, also the other aspect is one cannot be a good person unless one is a Christian.
Oh, yeah, we got that.
And so, yes. So, it was, God, man, I got to tell you. And in my family, Sunday was, constant Christian music, constant everything going on, indoctrination and prayers and Bible groups and everything else. And Wednesdays were pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But a little lighter to a degree. And in fact, I got an interesting story that I do believe that I shared with Peter. But I went to a public school. That's because my family couldn't afford for me to be privately tutored or what have you, homeschooled. So when I first encountered the teachings of evolution in high school, my mother had a pastor meet me. Well, my youth minister and a pastor meet me, and it was I do apologize, my brain part. It was literally a Southern Baptist intervention where they took me to the side and said, "Listen, everything they're going to tell you from here on out is a lie. It's a lie from hell."
Holy crap.
And I remember how they just, for hours, went over everything in my textbook and tried to overturn it. Wow. And at the time, I believed in their authority. At the time, I thought they were right. And they could say, reading and writing and arithmetic you can trust, but you can't trust science.
Wow. Okay. We were talking off air about I'm horrible with computers. I'm 45 going on 106. I don't understand my cable television, my iPhone, my laptop. It's terrible. And Peter was saying there's always somebody worse. I got a pretty hardcore religious upbringing. Everything I did was wrong. I was going to go to hell no matter what. Right. You got me beat because I never got, I did, but it sounded like you had it just a little bit worse or a lot worse on the evolution talk. We were just simply taught evolution was BS.
Hey, get this. In my family, PBS was the devil's channel. No, I'm not kidding you. Because they had Carl Sagan on there.
I know you're not kidding me. That's why this is a very uncomfortable laugh. Because
and of course, I was always made to feel completely unhealthy about my sexuality as a person.
Oh yeah,
I totally dig chicks, but I was made to feel shameful about it.
This is incredible. I think the God that I don't believe in brings us together because this is this is therapy almost for me, because I got the exact same crap. Again, you couldn't look to your right or look to your left without doing something wrong. So you were always fearful.
I was constantly being judged.
Yeah, and I don't think people, not on the atheist side of the fence, quite understand what it really means. I mean, when I'm in my mid-40s.
It took me a long time to overcome my indoctrination.
Oh, sure. But I mean,
particularly the effects of the indoctrination. Not the indoctrination itself, but the effects of the indoctrination.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I've heard the horror stories, and I'm sure you have as well, to where you'll get a grown person.
I used to dream of hell.
Going to hell? Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
I mean, we were all told we were going to hell, and that can't. I still have vivid memories of being scared shitless.
I was sold the goods when I was 6 years old. I was told that I deserved to go to hell.
Well, not just deserve to go to hell, but I mean, they got me with. They kept drilling it into my head that I would never see my mother and father. I mean, I still get chills.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Right?
Right.
Everyone is going to heaven but you disgusting little bastard. And just nothing hurt me more than not being able to see my mommy ever again. Now, and it was just that, again, you tell me that now in my mid-40s, I'll tell you to go screw yourself. As a kid who can't keep his underwear clean, nothing scares you more than not being able to see your mommy. And, and the rational part of me now says, okay, fine, show me that this hell of yours exists, and I may start to believe you. But as a 10-year-old, you don't have the mental strength to dig that deep and say, show me. As a 10-year-old, you just go home crying, thinking, I'm going to spend trillions and trillions and trillions of years without my mommy. I mean, that's horrible.
I was sold on the fact that if I didn't conform and if I didn't believe like everybody else did, that I was going to, just like George Carlin said, I was going to suffer and die forever and ever, you know.
Yeah, and, but he loves you.
But he loves you. That's right.
Yeah, and I still remember asking my aunt, and if there's any Christian out there who's listening, I still maintain the same stance. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm simply saying I don't believe you. So if you've got the truth, if you have the evidence, please show me. But I still remember asking my aunt after one of the church services about fear. Why should I fear God? I love you. I love my mom. I love my brother. I love my sister. But here's this ultimate being, and all I get to hear about is I have to fear this being. And she just kind of shuffled the conversation into something else. The next thing I know, I'm eating. Right? She never really answered it.
Here's another. Here's an answer from a Southern Baptist minister. Here was my answer. Well, the word fear in Hebrew actually meant awe. So, in other words, they had to redefine the word, because in reality, the word fear in the Hebrew can mean awe, but it was a false equivalence, because that word in its proper context actually does mean fear. It means fear. I mean, literal fear.
I have looked up the word fear since then, and there is an entry that says in reverence to. So I don't know if that's the same thing that you're saying. But
I'm telling you that from my I'm no expert in Greek or Hebrew, but I did take basic courses, and the one thing I do know is that it's sold as fear. Whether
question.
They claim it's awe, or whether they claim it's some, it's nothing but fear. It's nothing but fear.
Well,
Christianity without the threat of hell is an empty, hanging promise.
I agree. I mean, and I'm trying to get my wits about me because when this topic comes up, I mean, I'm 45,
You're
and
emotionally affected.
well, it absolutely does because I mean, I still remember, and I lie to you not when I tell you, crying because I am a mama's boy. I'm a middle child. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
And
a middle child myself.
yeah, and I was attached to my mommy. I'm 45 and I still call my mother mommy. Okay.
Oh,
I have a sister who's 15 years younger than I am.
yeah.
And mommy is still mommy. And that's all they could drive home to me is
Well,
that I will never see mommy ever again.
right.
And if they didn't have that hook, I wonder if I would have hit
Well,
atheism
it
way
completely
earlier.
floored. Yeah, I hear you. You know, I'm sorry, Robert. It completely floored my family when I came out as an atheist, and it completely floored the church when I came out as an atheist. And quite frankly, when I first came out, I said I no longer believed in Christianity, and at the time, I somewhat had some leanings towards deism.
Yeah.
Deism, but at the same time, I kind of thought for sure that atheism was the route to go, but there was that negative stigma that was attached.
100%. Yeah.
And in fact, I left the ministry in 1989, and it wasn't until 1990, after reading Atheism, a Philosophical Justification, that let me see, who was that? Michael Martin, that I decided to go ahead and adopt the title of atheist.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from I'm from a town that's about the size of my living room. And if you would have said atheism to me when I was a child, I probably would have said, what rap group is that? I didn't know non-belief was an option.
And I wasn't taught that non-belief was an option.
You just believed in God.
That anybody that was not a Christian was inherently a bad person.
Yeah, you and me both. And I've had the same best friend probably for the last 21 years.
I was very sheltered. I lived in a very sheltered life, and I had no experience. And not only that, but my family was oh my gosh, aggressively anti-intellectual. You didn't find a single book in our house unless it was a Bible or a book on the Bible.
No joke. Holy crap.
Dictionaries were around so you could learn words, but that was it.
Man, how did you make it out? I mean, I made it out because of a friend.
Christianity unraveled its own self for me.
Did it?
Yeah, in fact, it began as a challenge from people that I had spoken to while I was in the ministry, particularly doing street ministry. And I occasionally would run into an atheist.
Yeah.
And it was a rare thing, particularly being in Texas, but I would occasionally run into them.
Yeah.
And I decided, well, I'm going to really do a lot of research and come up with conclusive evidence that Christianity is true. And you know what resulted from that?
What's that?
Well, you're hearing it right now.
I figured. So
it took me several years of really deep study. And at the time, I was studying theology and apologetics from Liberty University's correspondence course. I didn't take Liberty. I didn't go to Liberty. I took their correspondence courses, but paid a pretty penny to take it. And, this was in 88, 87, 88, whenever, it was VHS tapes and audio tapes and little booklets and stuff like that. But as I began to run into problems and I would ask my professors, and I would ask associate pastors, and I would ask other people in the faith what was their answer, and I would get bunkus, nothing. Really, I wouldn't get anything of value from them, and I would get the same old responses. God works in mysterious ways.
No, I got that one a lot. I got that one a lot.
Who are you to question God? Nobody knows the mind of God except we're told that we have the mind of Christ. And so I was just like, I felt a little disenfranchised. And so I thought, well, if I'm not going to get the answers from Christians, then I'm going to try to seek the information from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Even if it's a wrong answer, because at the time I thought even a wrong answer might shoot me in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, and at the time I was looking for information. At the time I wanted, and I let them know, everyone know, all I want to do is confirm 100% that Christianity is true.
And it got you here.
Taking the apologetics courses and everything, and taking deeper studies of theology, that I would have the answers laid before me, but they weren't. In fact, more questions were laid before me. And fundamentally, what really did it for me was the lack of answers from Christians about the problem of evil. The problem of evil was that loose thread that I pulled at that unraveled my entire faith.
See, mine was even simpler than that. My older brother, here's the thing. So I've got an older brother who's trans. So my sister, atheist, me, atheist, younger sister, hardcore Christian. What got my older sister was the problem of evil. For me, it was simpler. It was little things like Noah's Ark, because that literally got me kicked out of Sunday school when I was a child. And here I am 35 years later, still asking the same questions about what did Noah do with all the poop? And Christians laugh. Yeah, exactly. Everyone laughs at the question.
But it's a good answer.
You've got what's probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of animals on a boat with one window and 8 people. That's a lot of fecal matter. What do they do with it? The boat
I was a creationist as well.
Yeah, well, the boat was also built in the Middle East. Where did they get all the wood? So, I mean, I just had all these questions as a 10-year-old, 11, 12-year-old kid, and they literally kicked me out of Sunday school for asking too many questions.
Wow, you saw through it. I just didn't.
I didn't even have to get to the problem of evil. It never made sense, even though I was still a hardcore Christian. And to this day, I've gone on other people's channels and I've asked them the same question, and they've laughed, and then they've said, and I've told them, because one of the Sunday school teachers' response was, if you keep asking those questions, you're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, well, they shouldn't have said that. And we're like, well, funny you should say that. As an adult, I still get Christians telling me, if you ask those questions, you're going to go to hell.
Right.
To me, that just tells me you don't have an answer. All you have is a threat. And threats don't work on me.
They don't have answers. Since 1989, I have been rather ardent in my attempt to understand the claims of Christianity. And I am open to any evidence they have. Any evidence. I am willing to admit that I am wrong if the evidence is presented to me.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It's incontrovertible evidence. And people say, well, what is incontrovertible evidence? I don't know, but God would know, just like Matt Dillahunty says. God knows what it would take to convert me. And he's either chosen not to present that information to me yet, or he doesn't exist. And either way, it's not my problem. And I was debating a minister not too long ago who was trying to strawman my situation and tell me that strawman my argument and tell me that I just didn't want to believe. Like, dude, I have no idea. I want to believe. If it's true, I want to believe whatever is true.
I get that now.
I have no agenda against Christianity if it's true.
I get the I choose not to believe.
Since 1989, I have searched for answers and have found nothing.
I have a question.
Hit me. What's that?
I have a question because we're talking here, and I'm monitoring the live chat where someone wants to tell us about the Christian love. Stephanie, if you want to do something, get on this hangout, because it's not going to help you sticking around in the live chat. If you want to advertise Christian love, come on the hangout. I have some questions for you.
Yes, that sanctimonious Christian love.
Well, I see one of her comments about how she would do Sunday school, and kids aren't exposed. Okay, so my thing with that, Stephanie, if you're listening, it to me, it's kind of the lie by omission, right? You can't, in my opinion, you can't tell me that God loves me, Jesus, 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 love, 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 and not talk about hell, which is almost a 50-50 proposition of the Christian
Tell me about
system.
This. Yes. Tell me about this love.
Right. Because you love Jesus, you love
14,
God,
26.
everything is fantastic. But if you don't love God back, if you don't love Jesus back, you're going to be tortured for an eternity. So at what point do you tell a kid that? Is it first grade, 10th grade? Because either way, if you don't tell the kid that, the kid does not have enough information to make the proper choice. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, hell, as much as Christians want to eliminate that from the equation, they can't. It's no different. And I tell people this all the time because I teach women self-defense. This is no different than Frank.
I used to teach martial arts as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I tell the God proposition is one pronoun away from being an abusive spouse. God loves you, but if you don't love God back, he'll send you to hell. That's love. If Frank loves you, but if you don't love Frank back, he's going to punch your eyes out. We call the cops on Frank. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And I would love for a Christian to answer that.
We'll have to keep in mind Stephanie has created her own version of the Christian God, and I would call something like Stephanie a hypocrite because she won't go to church if she knows that there's going to be preached on something that she disagrees with. And to me, that's just being hypocritical. She also goes against the teachings of her own church. So what's a Christian? To me, she's not a Christian. She's just a wannabe.
Peter, don't say that.
Pretending.
Peter, if you don't mind me saying, please don't say that. She is a Christian. She's just not the idea, your idea of a Christian. But I mean, might fall prey. I'm just saying we might fall prey to the no true Scotsman fallacy here. And so it's important.
What I'm saying
to allow her to say that she's a Christian and accept that she's a Christian.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that what she's advocating is for a certain type of church. And it's a church that she herself doesn't follow the teachings of. She disagrees with her own pastor online several times a week. So to me, that's being hypocritical. If you go to a church, you should at least adhere to what their teachings are.
Well, you can call it inconsistent, but hypocrisy is claiming one thing and then doing another. So,
but that's what she's actively doing.
But
I mean, I followed
I don't want to,
Stephanie
the
for
one
a
thing
very
I've
long
tried to
time
do with
on.
Stephanie, I'm so sorry. I don't want to talk over you. I do apologize. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I followed Stephanie for a couple of years on Twitter, and she doesn't practice what she preaches.
I don't want to marginalize her.
I think they all.
I want to reach her.
Go ahead.
But I don't think that she's too open to it.
That she's too open to what?
To reason, quite frankly. I've seen her Twitter. I've watched her videos. I've seen debates, and it's just she's, quite frankly, she's very set in her ways. But I was too. So there was a time when someone reached me, or when somebody could have reached out to me and said, "That guy, he's just not approachable under any circumstance." Anyway.
I was about to say, if I can, and everyone, make sure you're sitting down when you hear me say this. I'm going to come to defense of Christians, because I've been doing this atheism thing literally for about the last 5.5 years. So I think I still remember my Christian days pretty well. I think
I do too.
Yeah, Stephanie, me, Christians in general. How do I say this? You practice the Christianity that you are comfortable with, and that you will find whatever you need to find in that Bible to make you comfortable enough to say that you're a Christian. Now, some of it is Westboro Baptist, and you will carry the signs that say God hates FAGs and all this other crap. Some of them are just Christian enough to call themselves Christians. It's kind of what the game makes you become. And so I don't think I would call Stephanie or anyone like that hypocritical, but you are just Christian enough to where you can wear the label, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
What I'm referring to is just the dishonesty. I mean, she puts up a front on Twitter and on her YouTube channel. Yes, she's this likable lady. But
gotcha.
In the meantime, in DMs, she will stab you in the back.
Gotcha.
I'm no longer able to see certain DMs of her, but I have seen enough that she's completely different when she's talking to her Christian friends in DM about atheists than when she does the same thing in the open. And I'm one of the people who will.
I'm sorry, Peter. I love the continual reference of an atheist to a weed.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah,
that's straight from the Bible.
There are several tweets that she has put out that are just, to me, are just disgusting.
I'm colder on it.
Yeah, she thinks that atheists can be good parents. Well, she needs to go and look at the statistics and see children in atheist countries are happier than in religious countries.
Yes.
Why is that? Children are getting a better education in atheist countries than they do in
and they're far more mentally healthy.
Countries. Yeah.
Well, so they're not oppressed from childhood to believe that they deserve hell and that they're sinners.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember there was a lady that I trained who, I mean, again, I live in the Bible Belt, so freaking just about everyone I train is a Christian to some extent. And I remember one lady telling me, there's no way you'd be an atheist if you had a kid, because I don't have children. Yeah. And I didn't respond because I didn't want to get into it at work. But all I could think was, it'd be the exact opposite. And if there is a way to push someone further into atheism, which I don't think there is, it would be if I had a kid. Because if there's one thing all parents who are Christians eventually have to tell their kids, basically, is you're hot steaming pile of monkey shit, and you were born that way. And I couldn't tell my kid that. And I've buried a child, and let me tell you, it's the worst thing you'll ever want to effing experience. But
I'm sorry, what was that last statement?
I've had to bury a child, and it's the
Oh, I'm
worst.
so sorry.
It's the worst thing you'll ever
I'm sorry
experience.
to hear that, bro.
Well, thank you. It'll live with you forever. But after what I've been through, and I'm sure there are people with worse stories, if I were to have a kid now, I don't care if that kid had one eye in the middle of her forehead with no limbs. I would tell that child, you are perfect. If for no other reason, because you are mine. Christian parents, on the other hand, eventually have to tell their kids, you are a sinner and you deserve to be tortured forever. And you are so vile and disgusting, someone had to be murdered on your behalf. Now, if you cover yourself in this person's blood, then you'll be kind of slightly okay, but not really. But you have to spend 80 years on this earth groveling to this God to make you kind of okay. And maybe that'll be good enough to get you into heaven. And to me, show me I'm wrong, and I'll tell you I'm wrong. But at this point, I just don't see it. I really just don't see it.
Once saved, always saved. But then again, I also came from a denomination that believed that if you had any doubts, that you weren't truly saved. So once again, the no true Scotsman. So if you believed everything in the Bible, you were saved. But if you did not believe everything in the Bible, you really weren't saved, or you probably weren't saved. And that was hanging over my head the whole time, particularly so whenever I began just asking basic questions. I was made to feel horrifically bad about it. I felt great guilt and shame over just asking questions.
Me too. It's crazy.
Because I was taught that, once again, you can't be a good person unless you're a Christian.
Yep. And I've asked this before. So if you line up, to me, it's kind of like sushi where I live. Apparently, I'm the only person on the freaking planet that thinks sushi is the most overrated thing on the planet. Where I'm from, sushi. Okay, then there's two of us. Sushi to me, where I'm from, is called bait. Right? It's a piece of fish that you put on a hook to catch a bigger fish, right? And so I wonder, again, I live in the Bible Belt. I get preached to literally on a daily, if not weekly basis. How many of those people actually believe that? Or are they just kind of spinning their wheels because they don't want to be not part of the cool people's club? You know what I mean?
Conformity.
Because we can have this conversation and it makes sense. And until someone presents evidence that there is a God, I think we're kind of justified in our position. And I wonder, of the 10 people next week that will tell me about God, how many of those 10 actually believe it?
I don't know. I mean, once again, you can't really ever know anything like that. And of course, you're going to probably wonder in your head, I wonder if this person is just bullshitting themselves, or if they're just trying to bullshit me, or if they got something to sell. But in reality, the truth is we can never know. Once again, I can't judge the intention of an individual unless it's expressed through some form of action.
Yeah.
And if it's just a claim, then I'm going to have to take them on their claim. Unless I just want to call them a liar.
All the way up until, so 39 is when I came clean with atheism. But all the way up until 39.9, I was still beating my Bible butt. Right? So I wonder how many of them are beating their Bible butt. again, I graduated college with the lowest possible GPA you could possibly have and still call yourself a college graduate. But something always was, kind of just tapping on my shoulder saying virgins don't get pregnant. Noah didn't build an ark. There was never I have a bachelor's of science.
People don't rise from the dead.
People don't rise from the dead. Again, I have a bachelor's of science, so I kind of know science. There's no such thing as in the beginning. Science doesn't know if there was a beginning. As far as we know, right, there's just always been. We just don't know.
Right.
And so you know what I'm saying? If I'm sitting here with these doubts and I wasn't the smartest guy on the planet, I have people that I train with advanced degrees, Juris Doctors, people that make millions of dollars a year because they're that smart. And you're like, holy crap. Have you not figured this out? Or are you
there's this interesting thing called compartmentalization.
Then talk to me, please.
Yes, it's compartmentalization. That's what it is. It's the ability to cordon off certain beliefs from further inspection or from critical thinking, while the rest of our other beliefs are open to critical thinking. But these guarded, cherished beliefs are not. And it's that compartmentalization that allows a lot of really intelligent people to operate and still be religious.
Okay.
So and that's what it is. It's a psychological defense mechanism. And it's compartmentalization is something that I have studied for maybe the past 10 years, but it's not something that a lot of people know that much about it. But I wanted to understand why was I so convinced? Why? Because quite frankly, I was virtually a straight A student, and in college I was, I had a very high GPA, and then I went into the military. In fact, that's what I did after I became an atheist. I went into the military.
Okay.
Because I thought that it would provide me a new lens on life, a new lease on life, and a new lens on life. That it would give me experiences that otherwise my small town mind would never get. And I was always interested about the world, and I knew nothing about politics at the time. I was raised conservative.
Me too.
Yeah, I was conservative, Southern, redneck type of guy who had virtually no life experience. And then less than a year later, I was in a war. And I was in the Middle East. And then I lived in Turkey for 2 years. And then I was in Germany.
Wow.
And so, and then I got sent to 101st Airborne at Fort Campbell. And I got to experience all different types of people. And it just truly opened my eyes. And the one thing about fundamentalist Christianity is that they try to keep you sheltered from the world. They don't want you to. In fact, it's a big thing about what does the believer have to do with unbeliever. They don't want you to be exposed to different viewpoints.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why they have Christian colleges. They don't have colleges. They have Christian colleges.
They don't want you exposed.
They don't want you exposed to different viewpoints. And if you really, truly had the truth, would you care about somebody changing your mind?
No, I mean, Jesus. I mean, you say that it makes
to continue to propagate or promote Christianity. It's ludicrous. I think the word Christian and college put together is an oxymoron.
I mean, I just about agree with you. Nah.
I'm not saying there aren't. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that there are not smart people there. There are. They're brilliant people that are, intellectual giants compared to a tiny guy like me.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you nailed it when you talked about the compartmentalization in that.
That's what it is. You cordon off that area and say, this cannot be questioned, but everything else can be questioned, but this can never be questioned.
You can split the atom and you got a 4.0 in quantum whatever, but you still believe that a virgin can get pregnant, basically.
Right.
And that's
if you're looking at the side chat now, Stephanie is screaming in the side chat now.
She's screaming.
Yeah.
Oh no! Hold on! I missed it. What?
She's gone to all caps.
All caps! Oh my goodness gracious!
That's the universal sign for screaming.
Yeah, her PhD led her to Christianity. I don't have a clue.
Oh, her PhD letter. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, that's today's claim. Florida Line already pointed out that
she has a PhD, so she knows more than us.
Yeah, on Twitter she states that it was a personal experience that led her to Jesus. So it's with
a
her.
Muslim
It's
would
pretty
say
much
the same thing. So would a Hindu. So I guess their personal experience means that their gods are true too.
Yeah, but with Stephanie, it's every day a new claim. So I'm not at all surprised. She's not that consistent.
No. Hold on. How do I get back? My computer I want to see the side chat. How do I get there again? How do I get there?
I'll send you the link.
Gotcha.
I can't see it either. But let me see here. Let me go to it. Are you still there?
I'm right here.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I don't want to miss this.
Okay.
But so how do we? Because I mean, when you mentioned the Hindu gods, I have used that very argument before. Is it falling on deaf ears, or is that as well the compartmentalization of the incredibly intelligent Christian? Because I actually train a Hindu on a tri-weekly basis, and she and I don't get into it, but I would have to imagine that if I asked her, she would give me the exact same argument in terms of Hanuman is a personal experience. Right. And when I tell Christians that, they tell me that pretty much I'm full of shit. And, Hanuman's a pagan god or whatever the case may be. And, okay, let's see what we got working here.
Well, all those false gods, they're not real. But my God is real. But all the other gods are fake.
Okay. And so it goes back again. Do they not hear?
That's funny. I can't see a single. I'm looking for Stephanie, and I can't through the chat, and I can't see anything from Stephanie.
She's Christian apologist in the chat.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe she's blocked me or something. I don't know. Has she blocked me? Ask her. Oh yes, I see her. Okay. Yes. Okay.
You may want to.
Oh, she's so much smarter than us.
Yeah, You may want to check on top of the chat and switch.
Okay, I got it. Well, I only saw. Oh, okay. I only saw one quote.
Yep.
One thing from her. Okay.
Yeah. All right. At the top of the chat, you can switch to.
Okay.
Live,
you know what?
Live that will give you all the chat.
Okay. I'm back up. Let's see what she has to say. Down, Copper. Down. Okay. Did I miss the all caps? Is she that mad at us?
I don't think she's using an all caps in that. Well, she is. And they led me to Christianity.
Okay.
Because capitalizing something makes it more true.
Yeah.
Was she responding to it led you to stupid? Is she mad about that?
I don't know. She's trying to make a point that because she has a PhD, she's somehow more credible as.
More credible.
Oh, I see it.
As a proponent of Christianity, because apparently science leads you to Christ, which I think is a little bit weird because 99% of the scientists are atheists. So what are they doing wrong?
Well, I would be curious, actually.
I'm coming from this. I'm coming to this from a whole other perspective than you guys, because I've never been religious. So it's at some point it's hard to relate to having been there and the way of thinking. So,
you lucky bastard.
Well,
you didn't have to unscrew what people screwed into.
I don't know if we'll ever reach that.
If you look at the numbers currently in the U.S., atheists are the largest growing group and the fastest growing group at this moment.
That is true. In America, that is true.
Yeah, they already outnumber evangelicals, which
we're at a growth rate of 6 point. The nuns are at a growth rate of positive 6.8, whereas Christianity is at a negative 7.8.
Yeah.
So, and that was a Pew Research poll done in 2014.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine that the numbers are even worse for Christianity as it is.
Yeah, and it'll take a long time, because it's not only a belief system, because there's also a mindset that needs to be changed.
Yes.
There's still a lot of bigotry when it comes to daily life. That's also has its roots in religion. I won't say it's not only Christianity. I think pretty much all the big religions.
Right.
So there's still a lot of work to do, but at least they're making progress, and it seems to be working. People are, I think. Yesterday I watched PZ Myers go live with Ken Miller.
Stephanie is saying you're lying now. Atheists represent 3% of the population of the U.S. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to bring up the Pew Research poll done in. So now, if I'm lying, then other Christians are lying.
Yes, I think Stephanie's getting her numbers from creationist websites or something.
She's saying a Pew poll.
It's a religious landscapes. Okay, it's entitled "America's Changing Religious Landscape," and in fact, I'll put a link to it in chat if I can. Okay, here we go. She said, "Bring it." I'll bring it. There you go.
Are you putting?
Okay. Yeah. So
type something.
Look under America's Changing Religious Landscape.
Apetivist. Hold on. Type just something in the live chat. I'll give you a wrench so you can post links, because otherwise you can't post a link there.
Okay.
Oh. Just type something.
Okay. Yeah, somebody just did it. Brian Stevens just.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Stevens just put it in there.
Okay, I gave you moderating capacity, so.
Oh, thank you.
From now on, if you have a link on our channel, you can post it in the live chat.
Look, everybody, let's keep in mind that Stephanie, like any other Christian, has an invested interest. They cannot admit that a great majority of their time and energy and money has gone into something that isn't true. And so they're in it. That is why most of them will not believe anything that will disprove or show that their beliefs are in error. And I was the same way. I used to be the same way.
Me too.
I understand what's going on right now in Stephanie's brain.
Yeah. I remember listening to Daniel Dennett. And it's about as eloquent of a way you could possibly put it. But it's like there's really no nice way to tell someone that their worldview is for shit.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? And that
he said that it's a that they've devoted their lifetime to a folly.
Yeah. And hence the reason why at in my mid-40s, I still get emotional when I think about not seeing my mommy, after I die for trillions of years.
Oh, okay.
Right? That was once my worldview.
Stephanie is saying, read your own link, which I have read my own link. In fact, that's the reason why I knew about this study and I brought it to light, and I'm willing to present it so that everybody can see that is exactly what the numbers say. I am not lying, Stephanie. Quite frankly, you're talking about if I'm lying, then Christians are lying even more so, because this is the Pew Research Center.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's a sunk cost. Clade Starfish says sunk cost fallacy. That's correct. Your link says that atheists represent only about 4% of the U.S. I don't care about that. I'm saying
would that matter?
Stephanie, listen to me. If you can hear me, I don't see why you don't join this conversation. Because we, I can sit here and type.
I think I know.
The truth is that Christianity, as it's already claimed, is that at this point, Christians decline as share of U.S. population. Other faiths and the unaffiliated are growing. According to the Pew Research, 7.8% drop in Christianity, a 1.2% addition to non-Christian faiths, and a plus 6.7 for unaffiliated, which includes the atheist, agnostic, and nothing in particular.
I just pulled it up.
I think
everyone can see. Everyone can see
I'm
it.
sorry,
right now.
you can't. She may want it to be not true, but it just simply isn't not true. Pardon me if that makes any sense at all. But what I'm trying to say is that it's
atheist.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I'm still firmly in the camp that thinks that Stephanie isn't always that honest. She has not got the ability to read something. She doesn't have the ability to listen, and all she wants to do is just make claims, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Okay. Let me answer this question. It says unaffiliated, which includes underneath atheist, agnostic, and nothing in particular. So that is a question that a light in the dark just asked. Does the poll say atheists or nuns? Anyone? And so it says unaffiliated, atheist, agnostic, and nothing in particular.
Yeah.
But if we were looking at just specifically where it says the growth of atheism is at a 1.5 over the drop of, let's just say, evangelical Christianity at a negative 4.8. So that still means that evangelical Christianity is on a decline and that atheism is on and is increasing.
Yep.
Those claiming agnosticism is 1.6 and nothing in particular, which is, most people would call a none, is at 3.7. Not a negative. We're talking about positive numbers here.
Okay. I can just barely read that study.
As I said, it's a problem because if you can't read the numbers and if you're not honest enough to go check those numbers,
let's keep this in mind. In the age of information, okay. Oh, wait. Let me restate this. just because it's on the rise doesn't mean it's true. So
What do you mean?
Okay, in other words, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, we could do the argumentum ad populum, which is the argument from the populace.
Yeah.
And that simply means that just because a great majority of the populace believes something, that makes it true. And we could.
No, that's not.
We could have yes.
That's
And we
not
could
it.
have. That's like people once time they believed that the earth was flat. And because the majority of the people believed that the earth was flat, everybody thought that the earth was flat. And now, what I'm trying to say is that we're seeing a reversal of this case. And that case is that, quite frankly, all atheism is it's a rejection of the claims of theism. That's it. That's all it is.
True.
Here's how I see it. If atheists are growing, I mean, education is getting better. Yeah, education is getting better. Critical thinking is a thing that's getting better due to this education. If that leads people to abandon their belief systems, it could be because these people are now actually checking the claims that the religion makes.
Exactly.
And so far, there hasn't been a religion that can actually provide any good evidence for the claims they make.
True.
And
Yes.
I think the Bible is one of the worst in that, because the claims made in the Bible are so demonstrably untrue.
That's true.
That if you really are an honest person and you do the honest research, you can only come up with one conclusion: it's not correct what the book states.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then I'm not even getting to the point where it's an immoral book. It teaches you to be immoral. The guest we were supposed to have on claims that the Bible that God condemned slavery, and he has found a way to make that happen. Sorry.
Right, you can make the Bible say anything you want to.
You want to, yeah.
As long as you're willing to do some mental gymnastics.
Yeah, that's it. It's not in there.
No, it's not.
When I look at Stephanie in one of her videos, she justified the Holocaust, and I think it was in a talk with you, Robert, where she said it was a teaching experience.
Oh,
so
Jesus
we
Christ.
could learn how to treat the Jews better.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! So you have to kill 6 million Jews just so people can learn to treat them right.
Yeah.
Because an omnipotent God is not powerful enough to find another way to teach people. He has to just have 6 million people killed in the most horrific way possible. So, but that's nothing new. If you go to the flood, if the flood actually happened,
right, the blood is a worse Holocaust.
Yeah. People killing people in a terrible way seems to be something that he just does for fun, I think, because it's all over the Bible. It's a constant array of genocide, and so when they come to me and say, well, morality comes from God, that's where I just stop and think, this, you can't be serious. You cannot be serious.
I think they want it to be true. They think they have cornered the market on morality, and so they want it to be true, and therefore they have to claim it as true. It's true.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's true. It's true. And no, in other words, it's just
But what to me is mind-boggling. what to me, what to me is mind-boggling, that you actually meet people online who tell you that if God says you have to kill someone, then it's morally correct. If God says you have to take slaves and you have to take sex slaves, which is in the Bible, it's morally correct.
Right.
And I don't get it how people can justify that for themselves.
Well, we run into the Erythroboat dilemma right there.
The which one?
Is it pious because God asked us to do it piously, or so it's the same thing. We just switch out the word morality with piety, and it's the same argument.
Yeah, I always end up asking people, well, let's see, if you had a daughter, would you agree to when she gets raped to sell her off to her rapist and have him marry him and have her spend her whole life? To me, I can't fathom people thinking that's the right thing to do. And
you
then
say that? That's my. Whoa! Hello.
Yeah,
hello.
Still here.
Okay, I just heard something huge. That's my go-to. That you just went to Deuteronomy, I think 22 verses 28 to 29.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you the number of times I have brought that up to Christians, pastors included, who have used the line, that's how God took care of women back in those days. That's how he taught us that rape was wrong. And it never ceases to put my jaw on the effing ground that your God can't teach us that rape is wrong without rape being included in the proposition. That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. If it worked with in Judaism to say thou shalt not kill, why not just say thou shalt not rape and thou shalt not have slaves?
Yeah.
And it would boom right there.
You always get the argument.
Why couldn't God have done that
back then?
Right.
Yeah, you always get the argument. Times were different back then, and my response would be, times were different. Did people steal back then?
Was truth different?
Did people lie back then? Because he did mention those things. And the fun part is we don't have slavery anymore, but lying and stealing, we still have that. So this omnipotent God failed spectacularly because the things that he did mention are still prevalent today, while humanity has managed to at least get rid of slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beach Price says, thou shalt raise your children with words and compassion. I agree.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, it at some point, to me, it's just flailing. Because, I mean, I think we've all heard, what God,
all their arguments are
couldn't.
dead.
Well,
all their arguments are dead. The best they can get, the best they can do is people like Stephanie and Jordan Peterson. That's the best they can do, and they're debunked right out the gate.
Yeah.
So who's buying it?
Many are buying it.
Okay.
If they unfortunately, many are going to buy it, and many still continue to buy it.
So then that goes back to a question I had 20 minutes ago, in that, again, for a guy who barely graduated college, these things always just kind of tugged at my coattails, right? I mean, how many times do I have to hear God sanctioned rape and slavery to teach us that rape and slavery were wrong? And even as a teenager, I'm like, that sounds like a hot steaming pile of monkey crap. If you can tell me not to eat shrimp and to kill gay people, why can't God just simply say, don't own slaves and don't rape people? He is clearly.
Oh, wait, hold on, yo. We
Go
got
ahead.
some Christian sanctimonious. It's the Christian sanctimonious moment right here. Stephanie says, "Robert, I love you, and so does God."
Yeah.
Stephanie loves me.
Okay. All right. Well, it's
Hold
settled.
on.
It's settled, Robert.
Oh shit! Hold
Yeah.
on. Robert's going to
I
return to
wonder
sentiment.
if Stephanie's husband is watching. I mean, I
So-
know he's a Trump supporter, and I know he disagrees with Stephanie on a lot of things, but coming on to another guy in a live stream doesn't seem appropriate for a Christian.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Sorry.
Hold on.
I had to do that.
I will absolutely return to sentiment. There. How about that? There you go. Robert's a nice guy. But
this slimy sanctimonious crap. I love you, and so does God.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey,
He's got a funny way of showing it.
But in your preaching days, I mean, I know in my
I was the
proselytizing
same
days,
way. I was the same way.
I did the exact. I mean, I remember.
I would say the same thing too.
Oh my God, I remember because I played college football, and I will absolutely say that some of the things that are said about college football players are true. We chase as much tail as we can possibly get, and I was the first guy to tell my teammates that they're going to hell, even though I was doing the exact same thing. And when they would challenge me and they would stump the hell out of me, my comeback was simply, I love you and so does God.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what shut down a conversation faster than, hey, Jim, I know you screwed 6 girls last night. You're not married. You can't do that. You're a sinner. You're going to go to hell. And Jim would say something that would completely crush my argument. And my comeback to Jim, I love you, Jim. I mean,
Well,
it's the ultimate ace card. At least for me, it was.
I'm better than you.
I can't speak for Stephanie.
I'm really better than you.
But that was my ace card. I don't know about
Robert,
Stephanie, but that was yes, sir.
Have you seen the chat? Beach Price just made a great comment. She hates to say it, but she doesn't have any oxytocin for you, but she does. That's awesome.
But she does quite like you.
Oh, I needed that laugh.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
But yes, I must admit, and there's something that me and I was debating a pastor the other day, and where is my mind going in this? Sorry, I've been up all day.
Me too. We're all tired.
Woke up very, very early, but nonetheless, the whole, when I was a Christian, I said and did the same things. I did, I thought I, was unique, but I wasn't any much more unique than any other person that was part of the group. And I distinctly remember being told, listen, when I was a Christian, I distinctly remember being told that love wasn't even possible. Real love wasn't even possible without God. And and what does that say about mankind's history for the 200,000 years before Christianity came on the scene?
I've always had that question.
Nobody ever loved their families.
I've always had that question.
Nobody loved their families. Nobody truly loved somebody else. That they didn't give their life out of love for their loved ones during famine and pestilence and war.
Yep.
I mean, the claims of Christianity are so spurious. And they want to corner morality, love, emotions, community,
They hijack it. They say this is exclusively ours. No, it's not.
If it is, how come that if people come out as an atheist, they're ostracized by their family and by their friends, and they lose their entire social network.
I lost everyone. When I became an atheist, I lost everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone except one brother and one sister. And the rest of them were kind of, yes, of course they still loved me, but they didn't contact, they didn't keep up with me. They didn't call me. They didn't, yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
the moment I came out as an atheist, I was cursed.
Quick interjection.
And what go ahead,
what's
Robert.
That? We were saying before we went live, and I said that Florida Line is the greatest detective Twitter has ever seen. She just tweeted something else out. You guys got to check her what she just tweeted out. I have said before, I will say it again. To anyone listening to my voice, do not lie to Florida Line. This woman will find you and she will expose you. Whatever you tweet out, make sure it is your genuine feelings.
Right. I'm sorry, but I'm not aware of who this person is.
Okay, Batman is known as the world's greatest detective. Batman doesn't have shit on Florida Line. You could tweet something out from 1974.
Oh, right.
She will find it.
Florida Line is.
Yes, and she will expose you. Whatever you tweet out, make sure it is your genuine feelings. Because if you contradict yourself, she will find you and she will expose you. Do not mess with Florida Line. That is my public service announcement for anyone out there right now. So just be honest when you tweet from this point on.
Yeah, and we need to mention something else because we talked before we went live. Florida Line is top of the list of people who 100%. I want to have on.
Absolutely.
So whenever you're ready, Florida Line, we're ready for you because we need to have a talk sometime.
Yes.
And for people who don't follow her at Florida Line on Twitter, make sure
please follow her. Please, she is magnificent. She is wonderful, and she is, if nothing else, honest. So if you want honest conversation, if just like I said, do not lie while you're on Twitter because she will find you and she will expose you, and that is why I love following this person. She is incredible.
Yeah. And not only that, she's honest, but she's also a very kind person. The only thing you shouldn't do is lie on an open forum because you'll get nailed.
Yep. Like I said, Batman doesn't have jack squat on Florida Line. She is the world's best detective. Batman, take notes.
Florida Line just said thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and that's sincere. I mean, really. And she's one of the people that I have trouble keeping up with my timeline on Twitter because of what I do. I just lack the time at the moment. But what I do is visit people's timelines to see what they've tweeted out, and she's one of my favorites. So,
hey everybody, I want someone to say hello to you. Say hello,
everybody.
This is Susan, my wife.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, hello, Susan.
Everyone saying hello, Susan.
Hello.
She's so sweet. She's my 24/7 caregiver.
Outstanding.
If people don't know this, I'm 100% disabled.
I do my best.
I'm not mentally disabled. I'm just physically.
Gotcha.
I'm dependent on a wheelchair, and I'm mostly bedbound.
Oh, wow.
Due to neurological disease,
and diabetes.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Well, good luck with all of that.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I got the better end of the deal. Coming into this, I thought I was always going to be there to take care of Susan, and it ended up that before it was all over, she ended up taking care of me. You never know what life is going to throw you.
This is true. This is true. And not to throw a curveball in it, but I would, again, I'm sorry. I think there's a good portion of me that's still indoctrinated. And,
really?
Yeah, and I'm thinking of what my Christian response would be to what it is that you just said. And that something along the lines of, God put her in your life for that very reason.
Oh, I've been told by people.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here having this mental back and forth right now as you speak. I'm like, holy crap, why am I still thinking like this? And that the real side of me is like, wow, there's a disease, there's a disorder, that's horrible. I hope he's just fine. Thankfully, Susan's there to take care of him. The Christian side of me is like, God put her there for a reason. God's testing his faith. And it was like, oh my God, am I still doing this?
For a caregiver. And all I have to say is I can't wash my own ass. So wow. Susan is very instrumental in things. So all I have to say is that if God really loves Susan as much as I love Susan, then why couldn't I have just not gotten the disease?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And if he loved her anywhere near as much as I love Susan, then why would he put her through all of this?
Yeah.
That we have had to go through. We lost everything. We lost my 5-bedroom home. I lost my $166,000 a year job. Wow. Everything because of this.
Yeah. I mean, that's one. Sorry to hear that.
Oh, I'm not playing a fiddle or violin.
No, I dig it. I dig it. And we're laying our cards out. And I had a very dear friend of mine see me through some incredibly hard times. I live with bipolar mood disorder, and I just got off of Vicodin 3 years ago. Yes. And a friend of mine saw me through all of that. She's hardcore Catholic, and I'm sure you heard it, and I know I heard it, that we'll just call her Susan. I'll use yours, Susan.
Yes.
Susan was put in my life to see me through my last suicide attempt and to see me through detoxing through, hydrocodone and Vicodin. And the Christian side of me was like, yeah, wow, God put Susan in my life, even though at that point I had just come out as atheist. But the other side was like, oh, why the F do I have this in the first place? Right? If God really loved, my friend, why couldn't she and I just go grab a drink? Why couldn't we just be happy? Why couldn't we just go see a movie?
Right.
Instead, she's got to watch me throw up and dry because, I haven't had Vicodin in 72 hours. I'm almost did something that I couldn't reverse. She had to nurse me through that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, where was God when I almost drank bleach? Where was God when, I'm puking and cussing her out in the middle of a grocery store because I'm detoxing? And so I totally feel where you're coming from. And it's just weird back and forth. The atheist side of me says, meh. The Christian side of me says, that person's there for a reason. And it's just crazy that after 5.5 years, 6 years of atheism, you still revert back to that. You still have to tell yourself, hey, hold on. I still catch myself. Yeah, do you still catch yourself every once in a while before I eat dinner? I still catch myself praying. Like, hold on, that's not me anymore. Hold on, that's not me. Back off the prayer. Just eat your dinner and enjoy it.
Yeah. Now, Jen says that
Oh my gosh. Did y'all read from Jen? I didn't know that about you, Jen. Jen with one. She
Yeah.
said, apparently God gave me Hashimoto's autoimmune disease, depression and
Oh,
anxiety, trigeminal neuralgia, and
oh, I see
idiopathic
it. Holy crap.
angioedema. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Jen.
Angioedema. Goodness. I have
I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure it's terrible. Jen, if I still believed in prayer, I'd be praying for you.
yeah. Well, I believe in medical science.
I accept medical science, and Jen, I'm quite sure she
Yes.
leans on it too. So,
Yeah.
Jen, best of luck for real.
Yes, Jen. She said, I have a small,
Have a
I do
small
too.
pharmacy.
I have to take 25 pills a day, 6 times a day.
Holy crap.
To not be in absolute agonizing pain.
Wow. Again, I say this for maybe the third or fourth time before we went on air. Peter said, there's always someone out there who's worse at like computers than you are. I constantly beat myself up because there's one thing I tell my shrink all the time. There's never a time where I'm not bipolar. I get up in the morning and I take pills. When I come home from work, I have to take pills. Before I go to bed, I have to take pills. You have a 3-time reminder a day that there's something wrong with your brain chemistry. I have to take somewhere between 10 and 12 pills a day just to be kind of slightly okay. And so when I hear people having to take 25 pills a day, and Jen, I have no idea how many you take, but Jesus Christ, it's got to be a lot. I'm not minimizing anyone's pain, but holy crap, what do we have to do, all of us, to be okay? So I give you the salute, Jen. I give you the salute. Holy crap. And someone else is living with OCD, a light in the dark. Light in the dark. I live with obsessive compulsive disorder as well.
I have a sister that has it.
Yeah, you are not alone, and it sucks. Apparently the most common, according to my shrink, one of the most common OCDs is doors, locks, and windows, and that's the one that I have.
Oh, Jen's. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, was it light in the dark? I live 8 miles away from work. If it makes you feel any better, there are times where I get 7 miles away from my house, and I have to turn around to come home and check my doors, locks, and windows. So keep fighting. You can do this. You're not alone.
That's right.
It sucks, but keep fighting it. Keep fighting it.
Yeah. And that's another thing. If God loves us so much, I'm an atheist. Why am I the healthy one in this party?
Yeah, why? Yeah, if the devil's on my side, why is it that I'm just not partying and living it up?
I'm the lucky guy. I've only been in hospital once because I neglected a cold and ended up getting pneumonia and sitting in class fell off my chair. So they had to rush me to the hospital because I did neglect it too long. But if God is love, then why am I the healthy one? Why do I see my best friend is a Christian. He's a Syrian refugee. He was tortured by Assad for a whole year.
Oh, Jesus.
Why does that happen? If God is is love, and if all he does is take care of his own people,
if all things work together for good, why is it that all this happens?
Yeah, that's my biggest problem, because as I said, I don't have any complaints. I've had I think a pretty good life, and ended up with a couple of women who chose me. I didn't choose this. They chose me. So something's not adding up.
Right.
If I can revert back to my Christian days, I think the answer would be we can't understand God's ways. God's mysterious. Why is it that everyone else has been hit with a shitstorm? And why is it that Peter, who was pretty much born and raised atheist, why does he have perfect health and all things going good for him? The Christian answer that I would have given you if I was still proselytizing would be God's mysterious. We can't understand his ways. Right? If I was still a part of MacArthur Park, that's what I would have told all three of you. All three of us.
Right, I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was doing something different. What would you say?
That if I was still in my MacArthur Park proselytizing days and we were having this exact same conversation, I would have told all three of us that God's ways are mysterious. We cannot understand God's ways. And why is it that you have perfect health and I have bipolar and obsessive compulsive and a host of others? Why is it, we can't understand God's ways. We don't understand God's plan. So just kind of sit back and enjoy it. Enjoy the ride is what I probably would have told you.
Hey, Caitlin Chloe just joined.
What?
Yeah.
What's that?
Caitlin Chloe just joined. I don't know if y'all see.
I see it.
Yeah.
I would have told the Apetivist that it was all in his plan. And I would have doubled down by saying Susan was God's way of, taking care of you, showing you that God loves you.
Right.
That's what I would have said in my proselytizing days. I would have justified the crap out of everything.
Yeah.
Versus just saying crap happens.
Oh, and of course, Chloe's going, Caitlin Chloe's saying, I don't understand why a black man would defend slavery. And of course, we know what she's talking about, Kanye West.
Oh, my God.
Or any quite frankly,
I think she's talking about G-Man. I think G-Man is
G-Man. Oh, yeah.
On the stream somewhere.
Is G-Man on this? Because
no, G-Man's not in here.
No. Okay, because we can just hang up on that guy. He's the less popular. I feel sorry for him.
I have an open invite to G-Man, and he has replied and asked what I want to talk about. So we'll see where that leads.
Poor guy.
But
I feel bad for somebody that's stuck.
Well,
he's mentally so stuck. It's just.
Yeah, again, not to minimize anyone else's pain, but to hear a black man as a black man myself, because I heard him talk to Matt Dillahunty about slavery. And I still remember the word he used like it was just yesterday when Matt talked about slavery, and he said, absolutely. To justify God's sanctioning of slavery. Now, the only correct thing to say about slavery am bad. That's the end of this discussion. It's officially over.
Yeah.
But to hear a black man say, either you're Kanye West and talking about it's a choice, or G-Man saying absolutely, that if God says that it's okay, then it's okay. That's disgusting. That is second only to a black man joining the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, Jen just said, didn't Chris Rock say something like black Christians have a short memory? That's true.
Very.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I have that meme somewhere. I have used it on a couple of occasions. Yeah. That's also a very good example about how religion messes with your mind, because there couldn't be another way to have a black man defend slavery.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Religion can cause you to do all types of unspeakable things.
Yeah.
And that's that just scares me. It just really does it just really makes me rewind the clock, and I wish I can go back and apologize to all the people that I said stupid shit to when I sit here and I think about my past. Because the only way I would tell, excuse me, I remember getting into a conversation with, because I grew up ignorant. Again, all I knew was Christianity and Catholicism. Yep. And when I got to college really opened up my eyes to a whole bunch of stuff. And I remember one of my strength coaches, and we're having a talk, and he's Jewish. And forgive me for sounding stupid, for as Christian as I was raised, I was incredibly ignorant when it came to Judaism. Well, one of my strength coaches was actually a Jew. And so I'm like, well, talk to me about what it's like to be a Jew. And I still remember, almost word for word, the difference between Christianity and Judaism. We believe in Jesus too. We just believe he was just some carpenter guy. And that's pretty much what Ed told me. And I remember it didn't take half a second for the words, "You're going to go to hell," came out of my mouth. And that was my go-to answer for just about anyone who disagreed with me. And so you're sitting here saying that religion will make you say or do just about anything. And I think about all the people that I told that to, and I wish I could take it all back, but I can't. Because I think about all the people who said that shit to me. And you're like, Jesus Christ, did I really say that to people that I really, really liked and loved? And yeah, and just when you've got religion on your side, you say stuff and do stuff that you just really
Seth Andrews
do
said
otherwise.
Christianity made him talk like an idiot. And quite frankly, it made me talk like an idiot.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Christians are idiots. I'm just saying that we have an idiotic way of thinking. And quite frankly, if I could wish one thing upon the world, it wouldn't that all religion go away. It would that every person could find the power of critical thinking. Because that'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Well, now you mention it, Seth Andrews saying Christianity make me talk like an idiot. People need to put that in the search bar on YouTube because that's one of the best talks.
Yes, it's a brilliant talk. Yes,
what did I miss?
He gave a talk. He has that online, and it's called Christianity Make Me Talk Like an Idiot.
Oh wow, I'll look that one up.
Yeah, you need to see that. That's an awesome talk.
Someone just asked, was G-Man abused growing up? And I think I can speak for a lot of us Christians or former Christians. I think in some way we were all abused.
We were mentally abused, emotionally abused.
You may not have been bent over the pews by Father McFeely or beaten up. But again, I use my own example when they continually told me, you will never see your mommy ever again. And if you want to keep someone's butt in the pews, if you want to keep someone kowtowing and stepping and fetching, take the one thing that they care about the most. And for me, it was my mother. And tell me, we will remove this person from your life forever. Now, at 45, I'm way more mentally prepared for my mother dying. That's just a fact of life. And it's a horrible fact of life, but it's a fact of life. At 9, 10, 11, 12, are you shitting me? My mom being gone for 2 hours emotionally devastated me, much less an eternity, right? So, I mean, they knew what to take from you. And so that, to me, is mental abuse, right? They knew, right, if we'll take your toy away from you, I'll cry for 2 minutes, but I'll get over that. I'm going to take your mommy away from you if you don't fall in line. Is mental abuse.
It is mental abuse.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Childhood indoctrination is abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when it comes to that, I've seen Stephanie tweet about Hitchens that he got cancer because God needed to stop him.
Oh
And
no!
to me,
I can't believe
That's
that is,
terrible.
yeah, to me that's one of the
Does
most
that mean that God
disgusting.
wants to stop Christians when they get cancer?
Um,
I mean,
that's a question.
if it works one way, then it works the other way, right?
Yeah, that's a question that's still open, I think. But I'm not going to find out because she doesn't seem to want to talk to me again. Which
Well, she
which
can
I
talk to me if she's open. I'll communicate with her, but I have you know all I've done is just tried to correct her on different statements that she has made and claims.
Oh, hold
I've
on.
never gotten into name calling with her or anything like that, and I don't plan to.
Jen with one N just said that she was spanked, and I've heard that before. That
Yeah, I was spanked. Yeah, I
yeah,
was spanked as a child. But then again, I'm from the South, and of course, you always had the big emotional get together after you got spanked with your family. Either your mom or your dad, and they would, I still love you, but you have to know these things.
yeah.
I know people who differ from opinion to opinion about whether or not you should spank a child. I personally do not. I haven't spanked a child once in my life, and I've raised 7 children.
7 kids. Holy crap.
None that were my own, by the
Yeah.
way. So if that tells you anything about me as a person, they weren't my own children.
Well, way to go. I'm having a hard time raising 2 dogs. So
well, I think it's the worst way to raise your children, doing it by spanking. I mean,
yeah, it teaches them that
they will listen
violence is
to
an
you.
answer.
Yeah, they will listen to you, but only out of fear, not
Right. It
because
teaches them that physical violence is an answer. And worse, it teaches the kid that I can just keep pushing them until they get spanked, until I get spanked, and then I can go right back to doing the same kind of pushing. And instead of teaching a child how to reason and to think critically, you teach them you can keep doing this until I spank you, and then you can keep doing it again.
Yeah.
We have a comment that spare the rod, spoil the child. And I was telling Peter about one of the super fundamentalist churches here in town that I live in, Austin.
Yeah.
That I trained one of the ladies, or I used to train one of the ladies that goes there. And I remember, and before I came clean with my atheism, she talked about, her beliefs and all this other stuff and what it's like to raise a child that believes in God. And she used that quote right there. And I remember thinking how barbaric that was. And now I'm figuring out the foundation behind why it is we spank, or what I like to call just beat our children, and that there has to be a better way to discipline a child other than to take your belt off, a wooden spoon, a racetrack, whatever, and hit them. That's just absolutely terrible. But how close in line is that with own a slave, rape a woman,
right?
Sell a rape victim to her rapist. Oh yeah, by the way, beat your child. What? The only way this is okay is if a holy book tells you that it's okay.
Look at what Clade Starfish said. Christianity is all normalization of violence, starting with the crucifixion. I would say that it started way before the crucifixion.
Oh,
but
way before. Well before.
But Clade is on point.
Yeah, it normalizes violence the moment we get to the flood. Everyone pissed God off to the point to where he had to drown everyone. Now, I've just had some really bad luck now that I think about it. I have choked twice on, if you remember, I may be the youngest person in this conversation. If y'all remember Brock's, BRACH candies, Brock's candies. These little, the little marble-sized.
Yes, I remember those.
Yeah. Twice, I was sucking on those as a child, and those things are just big enough to sit on top of a kid's esophagus. I swallowed it, and it just sat on my esophagus. First time, my dad did the Heimlich, and it just came spitting out. The second time, I don't remember it. I just know that my mom's crying, my dad's beating me on my back with his open hand, right? And just out it came. And I'm trying to remember where the hell I was going with that point. But the bottom line is, why the F are we still beating our children? Right? I mean, this is only normalized because, right, Holy Book said this is exactly what we should do. And I'm looking back now as a 45-year-old man wondering, why would I take my belt off? If my child would have survived and she would have disobeyed me, would I have really taken my belt off and tanned her hide to teach her a lesson? Or would I have reasoned with her? It blows my mind to think that I was part of the generation to where no one blinked twice and even laughed when they said, "Oh, I beat my child." If you said that nowadays, someone would probably get arrested.
Well, I think it's quite easy. I mean, if you really want your children to behave, make sure they know why they need to behave.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
that's the only reason they will behave when you're not present. I mean, you can beat your children, so they will behave as long as you're around. If you're not, they're not going to behave because
I can admit
they don't have a good reason.
I was a little shit growing up. I got to tell you, I sure was. If my parents were gone, I would, quite frankly, my parent, because my father, and I'm going to just lay this on you real quick. My father was a neo-Nazi KKK member.
Jesus.
And my mother left him because he beat her almost half to death when I was 6 months old. And so she left him for good. I don't know what she was doing with him in the first place, but nonetheless, I certainly learned how not to be like him.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah.
I was very protective of my 4 sisters. I took martial arts from the age of 9 onward. Back in my life, I've owned and operated 4 dojos. So I was always a physically prowess type of person. But nonetheless, I was a little shit growing up, quite frankly. I'll tell you, if I could get away with it, I would do it. And one of the things that was never explained to me was why I should do something. I was just told, you better do this or else. And I hate to criticize my mother's way of raising me. She's dead now. She passed in 2009. And I love her for everything that she did. I think she did the best she could with the tools she had. She was a 10th grade dropout. She was raised Southern Baptist and was religious her entire life. But she did try to teach me to be fair to people. At least that was true of her. Although she did put the fear of God into me, and the rest of the family did too. But all I can say is that raising children is difficult. They're going to act up nonetheless, no matter how you.
Oh yeah.
You would want them to understand the reasons behind why you want them to behave a certain way. And when I was with my exes and raising their children, I never raised a hand to them. And I would explain. I would sit them down and I would explain them. Now I did believe in timeout. You go to your room, timeout. But I wouldn't resort to slapping or hitting or anything like that. I think you're taking away. Quite frankly, it really hurt me when I was a kid. If you took away my toys, that really bothered me. Quite frankly, I knew I could get over having my ass whooped. But you take away my quality time with my toys and friends. That's something I can't get back.
Okay. No, for me it was The ass whooping that we got was severe. And we didn't have television growing up. Ass whooping was worse. Telling me I had to stay inside came in second. For us, my mother was before she started shrinking. My mom is 5'9", and she's a healthy woman. Let's just say this. My father was drafted by the New York Jets to play NFL football, to give you how big this man was. When they brought the hammer, they brought the effing hammer. So beatings in my household were something that you just could not believe. It was awful. And probably the worst one I ever saw. Like I said, my brother, my sister, my older sister is trans. When we finally did get a television, it was summer in high school. We had a simple rule. Television had to be off by 11 o'clock. I still remember it. My dad, who's military, for whatever reason, just this one particular day, decided, I'm going to come home for lunch. And it's a memory I will never forget. My oldest sister is sitting cross-legged in the middle of the living room floor with an oversized shirt pulled over her shoulder, watching a soap opera, which we were forbidden to watch soap operas. And I still remember my older sister saying something along the lines of, oh no, that's not, such and such kid. Right as she said that, my dad walked in, full dress uniform, and he lost his shit. One, we disobeyed rules. Two, his oldest son was sitting like a quote-unquote girl. Three, he brought the hammer down. Now, this was a teenage boy, and that beating is something that I will never effing forget for as long as I shall live. And I can't imagine doing that to my own kid. And I just assumed that's all my dad was brought to know. So that's what he exercised in terms of discipline. But again, as we get older and older and older and we get further and further removed from the Bible, is this something that we would do to our own children?
Right.
Would we hit our own kids? And I got to say that answer is no.
Well, coming out of the military, when I encountered, not always, I wasn't completely militaristic, but doing push-ups and sit-ups as punishment worked quite well. And I told them, if I can't get you thinking straight, and I wouldn't use it as the initial punishment. Or discipline. I would discipline primarily with words and time out. But occasionally, I would have them do the push-ups and sit-ups. And of course, they didn't like that. They didn't like that at all.
I have to say, I grew up completely differently. I was a very active child, so the only way to discipline me was I had to sit on the stairs and think about what I did. And the only way to get off those stairs is to explain what I did wrong and why it was wrong. So, and that worked, because I still hate sitting still and doing nothing. I can't sit still and do nothing.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. But guys, we've gone about this for 2.
Okay.
Well, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
It really does all come back down to our children, and I'm talking about just the next generation. How we raise them to think and act is how they will eventually project themselves upon society.
Absolutely.
At some point, and in some way, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I fully agree.
So do I.
I'd like to wrap it up, because otherwise the stream will be so long that people will avoid watching it because it's just too long.
Okay, so, I love you guys.
It's been great. It's been great.
Hang on till we're offline. so we can have a little chat after that.
Sure.
I want to thank the people who were watching, the people in the live chat,
Yeah.
for
Thank you guys.
for dropping by and for all of their comments. And we'll see if we can get back to Matt and solve the technical problems.
Yeah,
And
man.
That would be interesting.
and have that talk after all, because I still want to talk to Matt as well. But thanks, Apetivist, for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. I'm glad I got a chance to
You
talk to
don't
you.
know what it took for Peter to get me on here. He had to talk to me for hours upon hours and tried to convince me that it was okay for me to go on. I just don't, I have reservations about being physically seen, but if you don't physically see me, I'm fine. Has anyone seen me physically?
Nope.
Don't think so.
Nope.
Right. You just see my avatar. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And next up, you're going to join me on RJ's channel during Evolution Hour. That was a deal, right?
That's fine.
Okay. So thanks everyone for coming, and I'll let you know we have another stream coming up Monday. So make sure you tune in for that one as well. And I have a tiny message I want to leave you with. And so see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.